Hey everyone, and welcome to the Artisans, the Makers, and Me. I'm Beth Scalacci from VillageWorks Communications, and today I am so excited to introduce you to Kay of Soap Studio on 5th. How are you, Kay?
I'm doing well. How are you, Beth?
I'm good.
Thanks for
Uh,
having me on today.
hey, thanks for joining me. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, products, and also where you're based.
I'm based here in Brooklyn, New York, and my business actually has gone through a few phases. About 18 years ago, I started jasmine and lavender handmade, and that has somehow morphed into what we call now Soap Studio on 5th LLC.
And what kind of products do you make?
We do, let's see, there's a long list. We have artisan soaps. We do both cold and hot process. There's melt and pour soaps. We have sugar scrubs and lotions. And of course, the best part is the custom made soaps,
That's very cool.
where I get to bring things together. I always say the company is, we make handmade products from unique and unexpected ingredients.
Oh, I like that. So you've actually had a name change in this time period. Sort of what prompted that?
Well, jasmine and lavender for me, there were two essential oils, and a weird long explanation. There was sort of the same, but not quite. And next thing you know, everyone was calling me Jasmine, first of all, which I didn't mind. But then I had customers saying, "Oh, all your products have jasmine and lavender in it? That's really nice." But then we also had the customers who say, "Oh, I can't stand lavender or jasmine, and I'm not interested in anything you have to sell."
Oh, yeah.
However, that eventually became, "Oh, what do you do?" "I'm a soap maker." "Oh yeah, where do you do it?" "In my soap studio." "Where?" "On the 5th floor." So that eventually became Soap Studio on 5th.
Which I
Of
love.
course,
When I
in the
I
fifth
found,
floor, not the
yeah,
not
I always
that
thought it was the
flat.
street. And then you told that story one day, and I was like, wait, what? So and most people have their studios in the basement. So the fact that you get light in yours is,
That's awesome. Even that, I've had some people, this one woman especially, she said, "That was very deceiving of you. I thought it was Fifth Avenue." And she walked off. I'm like, "Oh, sorry."
like, sorry, you interpreted that wrong.
Okay. But
Doesn't change how good your soaps are. But
yes, so we are here
that's
and
awesome.
working on soaps.
So you said you have so I know you sell cold process, glycerin, and hot process soaps. Can you explain to the novice what the difference is between those three?
Okay, well, first off, melt and pour soap it is regular soap that has gone through the process of being made. However, it is made in such a way that it can be remelted. So hence the name, melt and pour. It's also called glycerin soap or no lye soap,
Oh,
not
okay.
because that there's no lye involved, it's just that at this stage you don't use lye. So you melt the soap, you can add items to it like essential oils, maybe fragrances, botanicals, and then you pour it into the mold. Uh, Artisanal soaps, that's the cold and hot process soaps, they are usually made from scratch. The soap maker decides what ingredients to start with, what fats or oils are going to be used, what fragrances are going to be added. Uh, if there's a color to be added, that also gets included. And then decide, are you going to do cold process or hot process? Those names are a little I guess you can say they're a little deceiving because cold process, when you mix lye goes up to about 200 degrees. So you add that lye to your oils and leave it to do its thing. It's called saponification. So it does it on its own, and it goes through its different stages by itself and whatever heat levels take place. In hot process, you do the same thing, but you don't leave it to do whatever it's doing on its own. We add heat.
Oh, okay.
Which then shortens the curing process.
Interesting. I knew there was two processes, but I didn't realize that's the difference. So very cool. Thank you for educating us on that. And when you started your business, did you start with one of these, a specific style or process, or did you do all three then?
I started with melt and pour because I was terrified of the thought of working with lye. I took a class on making soap that way, and it took me years. And even then, someone had to hold my hand and walk me through the process.
I totally relate.
Melt and pour is my first medium, and I still use it to this day. And I get a little crazy sometimes with melt and pour. I think it gives me a chance to be even more creative in the finished product than the other processes, although you can get off on some tangents with those as well.
Well, and that leads me, some of your soaps, which are definitely the melt and pours, are almost like works of art. Like, how did you get started doing like the teddy bear soaps and some of the other?
Oh, those. I come to think of it, I can't exactly remember what what made me initially make a mold for one of them, but it started by me making my own molds and coming up with different ideas. I spend my days looking at things, wondering if I can make a mold out of it. Now I'm thinking, well, how can I create the blanks in order to make my own molds? How do I, instead of using an item, how do I start with an idea? I found this one. This is interesting. This is one of the first ones I made. This is about 20 years old.
Oh, wow.
It was of just a figurine, and I created this out of it, and I saw it as I was rearranging things the other day.
That's amazing. I can't believe how much that holds up after what you said, 20
I know.
years?
Yeah, approximately 20 years.
That's
This
amazing.
is when I first started and was trying things out. Even has the ash still on it. It's supposed to be jet black.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That tends to happen.
And how do you so you make the molds? Like what do you make those molds from?
I use a silicone rubber blend. The part A, part B situation, you mix them together, and then it's poured over the item that's being copied.
It's
and
really
then from
cool.
there you get a mold of it.
So so I've asked a lot of people what their favorite product is, but I feel like with you it could be very different. Do you have like a favorite product, whether it's a shape or a product? Like which one is it?
Whatever I made last thing I made, but I don't know what it is about teddy bears, but I like making soaps out of teddy bears. This
that like, it's soap, people. That's soap.
Yes, this is a bar of soap.
Now, do you find a lot of people who buy them don't ever use them? They just sit them in a bathroom or somewhere, or?
Pretty much, yes. So I use the soap. I'll always make more. I did have a complaint. Someone came to my bathroom and they used my soap, and now I need a replacement. So, okay, not a problem. That can happen.
That's what I'm here for. Oh, I love them. They are so cool looking. Um, so I know you have another fun, it's actually a class or a service, but tell me about Booze and Bubbles.
Ooze and bubbles. That is, it's a soap making workshop where you bring your own refreshments, your choice what those refreshments may be. However, the soaps that we'll make in that workshop will be inspired by cocktails. So whether it's a martini or a margarita or a blue Hawaii, a tequila sunrise, I try to mimic that cocktail by the fragrance and of course the look. And hopefully your refreshments that you bring to the workshop will get you in a really good mood. And we then together put the items together to create, uh, for instance, the blue Hawaii. So we have our little ice cubes
So cool.
and our garnishes. Even the container, the glass, is also made of soap.
It's
Right?
like
So
seriously, soap artist is your your
yes,
title.
actually, I do call them soap arts. It has
It
gotten
is.
to that point.
It's just it's so creative, and I've done some melt and pour, and but like what you do is like next level. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's creative. I guess I got bored one day and let's see what we can do about this. Let's kick it up a notch.
That's great. I love it. So I'm gonna shift gears a little bit on you. So if you could choose anyone to spend the day with you in the studio, who would it be?
Hmm. Okay. Believe it or not, the little ones. My favorite people are my nieces are some of the most exciting people to be in the studio with. We have Amelia, who's 3, Aria, who's 4, and Tiana, who is 6. And from the time they hit my front door is, are we gonna make soaps? I wanna make soaps. They're uninhibited. They do things that I wouldn't think of doing. They make combinations and they're so creative. And believe it or not, I learn a lot from them in how they create things and their thought process. Because I do question, why are you putting that with that? And the explanations always blow my mind. So I really love, you know, spending time with them and creating with them because they don't follow the rules.
Right.
They don't have rules that they follow. They do things by instinct, and I love it.
It's so true. And you learn just watching kids do any kind of creative thing, and they make up their own rules, and
That's true.
we need to learn to be more uninhibited when we're being creative. Like
That's
not judge ourselves that our drawing's not good, or like just do it.
right.
I love
I
that.
totally agree.
So what else inspires your work?
There is no one thing. It changes from day to day. Sometimes it's a smell, a fragrance, or it may be a color, or even sometimes a name. A name will pop into my head, and I'm like, okay, so what ingredients can I put together that will somehow incorporate that name? Or I like that color. What can I put together and what name can I call it when I bring, and so there's no one thing. It can be just about anything at any time, and I embrace it all.
And is there anything special you're working on now?
Um,
Or you don't want to tell us?
well, not
It's a secret.
it's not to that point where I can tell anyone yet.
Right.
It's just an abstract idea at this point in time. I am working on some different techniques also with mold making, and still trying to figure it out and learn new things. I'm always doing a class or watching videos or something, whether it's the soap or the mold making or just learning about different ingredients. It's a constant a constant process.
Exactly. And are you and you said you do custom soaps too, right? So is that when do you do custom molds, or what do you do
Both.
with both? Okay. And
I've just started, well, I've gotten maybe 2 requests so far with the custom molds, hence the learning about different techniques and different ways of getting the molds up and running. But someone comes up with an idea and I've never heard of that before. And I'm not afraid to say, no, I can't do it, but I'd prefer to say, let me try first. I'll explore the idea, I'll try, but only then will I say, I'm sorry, this is not something I can do.
right.
But definitely have to give it a try.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to try, and especially if you're honest up front, like, let me, give me some time, let me figure it out.
Exactly.
So what's the most unique soap you've made?
Ooh, I'm not sure. I guess the booze and bubbles so far. Coming up with the different looks. Yes, most of them are in a glass, but I also do them in a mold, so you get a nice square soap as well. But coming up with the combination, because it's not just something out of my head.
Right.
I'm trying to, I have something as an inspiration, something that needs to be identified when someone look at the final project. Oh yeah, that looks like a tequila sunrise.
Right.
So those, I think so far, and I say so far because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Right. 2020, never sure what's happening.
Sure.
Keeping us on our toes. So what prompted you in the beginning to even get started and start a business?
I always say the business started, and I've been trying to keep up ever since. The whole idea of soap making, it was just a curiosity, a simple, how is that done? That's interesting. How is it done? And my sister gave me a soap making kit as a Christmas present. At the same time, I was doing a class on essential oil blending, on essential oils and blending. And a homework assignment was to create a blend and present it in whatever way you prefer. Of course, I used soap as my presentation, and the instructor asked me in halfway through my presentation, she said, okay, how much? I'm like, what? She said, how much? How much is your bar of soap? I'm like, I didn't think she'd give me a price. And I sold my first bar of soap for $2, although it costs like $6 to make.
Right.
But nonetheless, every week I was coming to class with an order for someone. Someone in the class would ask, next week, can you bring me a bar of soap? I want this, this, and that essential oil in it. And eventually I started giving gifts to friends, to families, and the orders kept coming in. And before you know it, I was at the county clerk's office filing to create a business.
Did you get an A in that class?
I actually did. Yes.
And You know, you had to sell it for 2 to start, but that didn't last long.
No, I wouldn't sustain myself. $2 wouldn't be able to
No,
buy the mold.
exactly. Let alone the oils and everything else.
Right.
Um, so what do you think is the most important thing you've learned owning a business?
Uh, I guess owning a business is so multifaceted, and multitasking is an understatement, because you need to not necessarily be an expert at everything, but at least be proficient. You need to know about taxes. You need to know about law. You need to know about your ingredients. Where do we end? Marketing, packaging, you name it, everything. The phrase chief cook and bottle washer comes into play, and you need to be proficient at all. If you're not an expert, you need to at least be proficient.
Right.
All of them.
Yeah, you're become a Jill of all trades, master of none.
At least master of the soap making.
Exactly. Yeah, should be master of what you make, but
Yes.
everything else, it's sort of like, yeah, I can get by. And so
True.
what if someone is thinking about starting a business and making their own products, like what would be your advice beyond, you know, learning as much as you can and being proficient?
Um, just expect to continue learning. Don't give, you know, okay, now I know how to make soap and that's the end of it. You have to constantly be able to acquire new information and new techniques, and not just say, okay, this is my idea, this is my product, and that's where it ends. Not to mention, you need to also be able to form relationships with other people, whether it's colleagues or customers or, you know, mentors. That is extremely important, because doing this on your own by yourself could be okay, but it's not going to be fun.
Right.
And you need to have a fun environment where what you're doing is not work. So you need to be able to enjoy what you do, and you need to be able to share ideas with others.
Right.
And of course, definitely the constant learning.
It is. Every time you think you're at a point where you're like, okay, I got this, and then there's something new to learn.
Exactly.
Definitely have to have that lifelong love of learning. Okay, I really, really appreciate your time and inviting us into your gorgeous studio. Um, that I'm always envious of how organized it is, and and for telling us about all your awesome products. And I'm hoping when this is all over that I can somehow get up there to Brooklyn and take a booze and bubbles class, because I think that
That would
sounds like
be
a lot of fun.
awesome. You have an open invitation anytime, once the
Excellent.
conditions are right.
Yes, I will be up there because that seems like a lot of fun. But again, thanks for your time and sharing you with us today. And I hope everyone enjoyed and learned something. So we'll see you guys later.
Thanks again for having me here, Beth.
Thanks.